Now joined by the head coach of Penn-Trafford girls basketball, Coach John Gianikkas. Coach, great to get you on the show today. First off, congrats on making the playoffs. How does it feel making the postseason and extending your season?
Thank you very much. Feels good. The kids, they worked hard all off season, and it's a good reward for them. And it's something they strive to do, and we expected to at least give it a run. And fortunately for us, we got in, and now we're all 0-0, and we'll see what we can do.
Well, I know that you definitely started off to a great start this beginning of the season, started 9-1 through the first 10 games. What during that span specifically do you feel was really clicking for your group?
You know what? We defended really well. And we made key plays at key moments. A lot of our games were close. And in the fourth quarter, our kids really stepped up and made some big plays and big moments. And what was good about it, they were out of those 9-10 games, 7-8 were more on the road. So they had to learn how to win, in a little bit harder environments and hostile environments. And we got to hope now that helps us here in the postseason. But, the big thing is they made plays in the clutch and kind of propelled us to that record at that time.
Well, I know another kind of big headlining factor coming into this year for you guys was not having Maura Suman on your team, a player that was tremendous for you in her last 4 years at Penn-Trafford. But you do bring back a very good player also in Olivia Peppel. So kind of, addition by subtraction a little bit, if you will. But how much did it help having Peppel come back and, again, fill that void that Suman left graduating? How much did that help with you and just this overall team this year?
Yeah, Liv's been Mara's a special player, and you're not going to replace her. But Liv worked so hard in the offseason she was already a really good player, getting looks from schools and colleges, D1 schools, and she wasn't satisfied. She's never satisfied, and she worked so much harder to make her game more complete. And obviously, we know how she can score, but she's really become a good defender. She finds the open guy. She's a leader, and she leads in different ways. Kind of more of a quiet leader, just lets her actions do the talking. And first one in the gym, last one to leave. Sometimes comes in at 6 a.m., leaves at 7 p.m. She's worked hard to become a player she is, and she's led us to where we are today. And truthfully, she's kind of following the mold of the other great players we've had in the past. She's like just an unselfish star who probably could do more, but gets her teammates involved, just like Mara and all the previous people before her.
Well, I'm sure having a player like Olivia Peppel probably makes your job a lot easier, correct?
Oh, for sure. We all coaches love to have someone like that. And, when you need a bucket, you got someone, you can go to, and she either creates for herself or creates for others, and it's not afraid of the moment.
Yeah, she's definitely been a big driving force for your success this season. And it's something that I think that you probably maybe challenged your team, or at least was, hopeful that your team would work on in the offseason, was knocking down open shots. That was a big thing last year that At times you guys kind of were hit or miss. And then this year, again, you really wanted your team to focus on that. How would you assess and kind of grade your team's ability this entire season to knock down those open shots?
It's been better. Last year there was times where get in the low 40s, 30s, and we try to win games defensively, or it wasn't always pretty, but we found ways. And then we had some games where we shot well, but it wasn't as consistent as we like. This year, it's been a little bit more consistent, especially at crunch time of games. We've knocked down shots. Our free throw shooting percentage is actually very, very good. But they put the time in the offseason. Now they come in and, got the shots up in the gym, use the guns, and still got a lot of some improvement to do, like I'm sure every coach would want, but definitely saw the improvement. And you could tell by some of our scores that, shooting has improved, but, we got to keep it rolling here.
Absolutely. And I think, again, to your point, the ability to, you already kind of have the defensive side of things somewhat figured out, but being able to figure out the offensive side of things, like you said, it's shown in your box scores and your point scoring overall, clearly up from last year. I know that at this point during the year, I'm sure that injuries is the last thing you want to deal with, but you did have a really big injury a few weeks ago to Kylie Piccone, a player that has really been tremendous for you as a basketball player and also a great softball player at Penn-Trafford. How have you noticed kind of other players on your team stepping up in her absence, especially with her not making a return this season?
Yeah, that's a huge loss for us. We're not going to replace her fully either. She did things that don't show up in box scores for points. Just a really smart player, defensively really solid, and knows the game very well. Gets other people a lot of open shots. Kind of sees the play developing before it actually is there. She's that smart of a player, and we're not going to replace that. That's a senior with leadership. But the younger kids, we kind of just challenged them. We said, hey, we need somebody. We need a couple. And the last couple weeks of practice, there's a few, a bunch of them that have, you could tell they've taken it to heart and played harder in practice. They've done well in the last couple games. And, we're going to need them, like players like Annabelle Keno, Hannah Weishar, Bella Klobuchar, Brianna Bennett, all those guys, the other little Weishar. So we can go on and on, but we're going to need those kids. And whether it's one game for one game for the other, but they've taken the challenge pretty well. They haven't shied away from it, and it's not an easy thing as a freshman to play in these. You're playing some really good teams, so they've stepped up and done well practicing. They're starting to show that they can do it in some big games.
Well, one of those younger players that I think has really, stepped up for you, going all the way back to the first game of the season, Tori DeStefano, and she has seen, again, I think a continued increase in just overall improvement during her first year playing varsity basketball. What have you seen from her, and just what has kind of been the overall growth that you've seen out of her from the first game of the season up into now?
She's miles ahead of like the mentality aspect of the game. She doesn't get too phased. She's strong. She's as strong as really any junior or senior out there playing that guard position, most of them at least. She doesn't back down. She loves to defend. And she does a good job, getting on the ball. Let's just put Olivia on the wing at times. And there's times she's become a really good assist kid. But her big thing has been, she gets her hands on so many balls and deflections. She's not afraid to be physical with other teams. She's a strong kid, and she's miles ahead, like I said, mentally. I'm not surprised, but I've seen her play since she was in second grade. A funny story: she played with a lot of the boys growing up in travel ball, and in the summertime, sometimes we would combine teams with local areas, and she would be on the team. So I, sometimes would coach her there, and I knew how tough she was back then. And I think she embraces the moment to make plays in tough games, and she does whatever it takes. We need to win. Simple as one game Peps missed because she got hurt at Peters in warmups. She dropped 21 points. So I think she knew we needed to score that game, and she stepped up and scored against a pretty good team. So she does whatever we need to win. And she's had a typical freshman. Once in a while, she had ups and downs, but overall, she's had a great freshman year.
Yeah, and I think that, I think we can all agree those kind of instances where, her showing that she's a freshman, it'll come out and show. But the fact that she's able to get some of those kinks worked out this early on in her career, I think she'll be just fine as a senior. But another big change for you coming to this year, last year you were in 6A, this year now in 5A. And I do have to ask, just with that tough schedule that you guys had last year, how much do you think it's helped prepare you guys for not only this entire season, but also heading into the playoffs?
You know what? It's tough. There's great teams in 6A, and then people say you drop down to 5A. Is it easier? And honestly, there's great teams at 5A. It's neck and neck. I mean, so really, us playing in that tough section last year did probably get us ready for this year. The great teams we had last year at NA, Norwin, there were the big guys in the section. This year, now you got Oakland Catholic, McKeesport. You have you're gonna have South Fayette in the other section. There's so many great teams, and it does, there's a big difference in the physicality and speed of the game when you play the big dogs like that. And it's prepared our kids. And for the younger ones, it's something they still probably getting used to, but they're getting there. And but there's no doubt it's great teams in both classifications.
Well, Coach, again, we really appreciate your time today and talking a little bit about your season and your team. Before we let you run, we just want to hear what's going to be key and really a major factor for you guys coming out on top in your playoff game and really extending your season as well.
It's the playoffs, so limiting the turnovers and making more runs than the other team. Both teams are going to have runs, and like we talked earlier, we can't go in those shooting funks where we only score a bucket here, a bucket there. But the turnovers and rebounding, like any other coach would say, and Shaler's been playing really well. They've been playing playoff basketball now for about 2 weeks. They were like basically had to win and get in the last 3-4 games, and they did. So they're coming in playing real good basketball. It should be a real fun game, a good game to play.
Well, Coach, again, we wish you guys nothing but luck moving forward and into the playoffs. And thanks again for stopping by today.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Have a good night.